Well guys, here we are back at it again. My little Florida vacation was very short-lived. It was only a long weekend, but it was nice to get to some place where the air didn't hurt your face for a few days. But now we're back at it again here with the propane heater a-cranking inside the garage and ready to pick up where we left off on the interior of this thing. So I did a couple of things while you were gone, while I was gone, while you didn't see me, off camera. So I got to get those crossed off the list. And what kind of an automotive YouTuber would I be really if I didn't have a list written on a piece of cardboard with a Sharpie? So here it is. All right, so let's look at this. I made this up to just help me carry through sort of a sub list. But we already removed the seats and the console and shifter. We removed the carpet. We did inspect the floors. They all look good. And POR 15 is down, or POR 15, or whatever they call it. Whatever you guys call it, tell me what it is. POR 15, POR 15, tell me, how do I say your name? And that leaves us up to install the sound deadener. So that's the next step. I did put, while you guys were away, I did put POR 15 down a second time. So there's 2 coats of that now on the floor in here. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. The floor was in pretty good shape to start with. And now it's all sealed up in the POR 15, so I'm pretty happy with where we sit. But today, I'm hoping that we can get through these next few steps, which is to install the sound deadener, and then install the carpet at least. Getting the shifter and the belts and the console back in is just the same stuff we were doing in reverse. Not as critical that I show you guys all of that stuff, but will if we can. Maybe that's like a little Benny Hill speed up motion type of thing. But for now, we're going to go after the sound deadener, and I wanted to show you guys what I got for that. So I think I fumbled the words last time when I was talking with you guys about what I was going to put inside the car for installation. Sometimes that happens to me. I get a little tongue-tied. Couldn't remember the name of what I was talking about, and that is sound deadener. So you want to put in some sound deadener, or I wanted to put in some sound deadener in the car while the carpet was out and while the floor was bare. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The sound deadener both helps to, as the name might imply, knock the noise down inside the car, but it can also help reflect some heat. So in these cars, especially in the summertime, when they start running well and start running on the highway and you're heating them up, you're going to get heat radiating from the engine and transmission up into the bay of the car. And the sound deadening can help with that because it's got like a foil liner on it that helps reflect some of that heat. Now there's a million different brands of these, Dynamat, Killmat, I don't know, you name it, you can find them. I got the cheapest stuff, realistically, that I could find off the Giant Woman Warrior website. So this stuff I've actually heard about from a bunch of other people. It's the Silas. So this is what we're going to put in. This is an 80 mil thick material. And really all it is just butyl. So very, very heavy adhesive on sort of almost like a tar material with the foil on top. So this stuff sticks down violently inside the car. So once you start it, you're pretty much set. That's going to live there. So we're going to get this stuff installed bit by bit today. I'm sure I'm going to get filthy. This stuff, I mean, this butyl stuff is already all over the inside of the box that it came in, just from it rubbing around and shipping. So I am sure that this is going to be a gross, nightmarish job. But we do want to get this done because it is going to knock down the sound. Well, hopefully you guys are getting some decent light to be able to see this stuff. But we'll see. Time will tell. So we're going to try to put this on in mats. And I think I want to try to start like right in the middle here and see if we can't go this way. So we've got these little rubby tools that are designed to burnish this stuff in place. So we'll see if these work as well as I want them to. All right, so this first piece is in, It worked okay. This was too much of a compound curve for me to be able to do that all in one piece, so I just cut off some excess on the side to make that work a little bit better. I think that's going to be okay. So now we'll just continue on with the rest. I'm going to try as best as I can to get around this and show you guys what I'm doing here. Not that this is a big how-to, but if you guys have never done this before, you know, it's worth watching somebody else screw it up before you do it. So this stuff, super sticky, but so far in my experience with it, not impossible to pick it back up again as long as you haven't like really tamped it down. It will stretch when you pick it back up, so you know, do it at your own risk. How much you're going to take the backer off? I've got one nice easy flat sheet to lay down here, so I'm going to do this by just taking the edge off and then rolling it back so we don't overcommit. Got to get this underneath my wire harness. That's the wire chase that runs all the way back to, you know, tail lights and stuff like that. So what I've been trying to do first is just kind of get it initially set in place where I want it. Push it into the contours as much as I can, because you're going to have to get it to stretch to do that. And we got a bolt here that I want to cut out for. Stuff cuts pretty easy, but definitely use a cheapo utility knife. Don't use your good one, because it's going to wreck the blade. Something fierce. All right, so that's initially down. And so now what I need to do is use this little roller. There's a bunch of different kinds you can get. This one has like teeth or serrations on it. I'm noticing it really helps to stretch this stuff out. It sort of grips it and really pushes it down. You can get just a burnisher, something that's sort of smooth and doesn't have those teeth on it. Honestly, I just got this from the Giant Warrior Woman website. It came recommended when I got this, when I ordered this Silas stuff. And it works pretty well. The only places where I've had a problem is where I've tried to stretch this too thin and then it's actually poked itself through the foil. But I think that was going to happen anyway because I stretched it too thin. So in this particular area, there's a trough where this wire chase sits. So I'm really trying to make sure that I press this stuff into that so I have room for this to sit flat and it doesn't make a big bulge in the carpet. All right, and that's it. Pretty simple. And then any place where you've got holes that you need to re-expose, you can just go back in here with the cutter or the knife and just cut that up and peel it, and it'll come right off. There's going to be a few more of those spots that I have to hit to make sure I pick that stuff up. That's the big sheets. So this has got me covered now for all the big swatches. Everything else I got to do now is going to require a bunch of cutting and a bunch of piecing together. Yay! don't know, guys. When I look at this, I just think, I don't know, jacketed potato? That's what it's got me thinking. Now it's making me hungry. But this is it. So all finished off. I've gone about as crazy as I feel is necessary or appropriate with laying this stuff down. It's not every, square inch. Obviously, there's some spots here where we didn't cover it in. There's clearly some gaps where I just, didn't bother. But again, I think that's going to be okay. The most important stuff to cover in this is the bigger, flatter expanses of the sheet metal, because that's the stuff that's going to vibrate more and create more of that sound. But I think this is pretty good. And our wire chase fits back in pretty well, about as well as it's going to. We're missing a grommet. So you can see it right there. We're missing that grommet from the automatic transmission cable, the shifter cable. Don't care. We're getting that covered about as well as we can. Maybe someday we'll pick up one of those things, but I didn't even realize we were living without it for this long, so I'm thinking it's okay. So we're going to go without that for now. So now it's time to go retrieve the carpet and see if we can't get on that. Nope, hold the phone. I'm getting ahead of myself. I got to cross this off the list. Install sound deadener. Item done. Now we can install the carpet. I have no idea whether I have enough room to show this stuff to you, but the carpet that we got is from ACC, so Auto Custom Carpets. There's really only a couple places that are making carpet replacements for these cars. It's these, and I think OER. To be honest, I don't remember where I got this from because I got it so long ago. The odds are that it was either NPD, National Parts Depot, or it might have been Speedway, because I had Speedway points and they carry this stuff sometimes. I don't recall. But this carpet should be in two pieces. It already has the insulation material, which is, I think you call it jute, attached to it. Let's take a look. I had the foresight to bring this up into the house a couple of days ago to warm up, so it's not frozen, but it is still not exactly warm. All right. There we go. So the way this works is we've got a back carpet and a front carpet. So let's start to get this laid out. Now we're having fun. Okay, so I look at this. It's got this T shape to it, and I'm pretty sure this heavier padding should go where your feet are going to go on the back seat. So we're going to start with that orientation, see if that works. Yeah, that seems to be right. So now it's time, we're going to steam this. We've got our trusty steamer here from the Jungle website, and all I want to do is try to relax this carpet. It's stiff, it's dry, it's not cold, but it's not warm either. So the hope is that when we steam this, it's going to relax the fibers in the carpet, and we can get it to sort of massage down into the cavities the way we need it to. All right, that's pretty good for the back. I really just want this to sit here and relax now. So now that it's sort of in place and in its molding, I may do some weighting, get some sandbags or something and throw them in here just to sit and hold this down with its own weight. But first, it's time for the front part of the rug. So as much as I would just like to rush this, I'm not gonna, because I think the right move here is to take my time. So what I did was I used some sandbags. This is the stuff that I use to hold up my pop-up tents, keep them from blowing away. We tried bricks last time when we did this with Declan's car. I don't think that worked very well. They weren't quite heavy enough and they didn't cover enough area. But these sandbags, I think, are going to be much better. They cover a little bit more area and they are heavier than the bricks are. So they're holding this stuff down and they're going to help get this carpet to get into the contour that we want it to. It'll take a while before it finally relaxes. We'll probably steam it a couple more times, but I want to get it close enough that it looks like it's holding its normal form. And then once we get the seats bolted in, that'll actually help hold a lot of this stuff down. So we're gonna let this sit here for probably a day or two and let this relax now that it's all been steamed. And then hopefully when we come back, it's gonna be ready. So what's next? We got the seats out, but now we got to take the seats apart. So we need to take the plastic housings that are on the seats off. I would like to get those painted. I do have some vinyl paint, vinyl dye that is specifically for this car. It's the dark jade green. So I think we're going to spray those up while we take these apart. Then I'm also going to spray the seat brackets on the bottom just in black, just to get them covered and looking good. And then we've got this goodness. So this stuff is from Legendary Auto Interiors. So I'll explain a little bit about what these are and why they're not just standard seats. So these guys are real flat. You can see right in here, this bolster is not there. It's pretty much just flat. And that's the way those things came from the factory. That, for an old guy like me, is a little bit torturous for too long a period of time. So Legendary Auto Interiors makes a version of this seat with bolsters. So it's just a little bit more modern, it's a little bit more supportive, but it's still in the same vinyl pattern. It still looks the same. In fact, I think I can open it up and show you. It still virtually looks the same. Now this is looking a little bit lighter, but it's not necessarily because it's wrong. It's because these seats are ancient that it's sitting on. So it's actually a pretty good match. But these will work for us to be able to replace our existing. This is the bottom part of it. You can see it's got a little bit more of a bolster here, but that bolster really sits in the foam, which is in this other box. So we're gonna get those installed right quick. Ha ha ha. No, it's going to take me a while. I think we're actually going to keep that up for another whole video as we install that. That's what I got this room cleaned up for primarily, was so that we can actually have a place to work and get these seats done. There's going to be a lot of hog rigging, a lot of cursing probably, but the kit comes with everything you need, right down to the burlap and the foam. So we're going to have a good time putting that together, and I'm really psyched for what this is going to be when it's finished, because I like to drive this car a lot. So that means I'm in it a ton. And right now these seats are so uncomfortable that that's hard to do. So I'm really looking forward to getting these seats in a much more comfortable position so that I can drive it more. Well guys, as you can see, we're in the basement shop now. And I've got the seats out of the car, up on a table. And if you can't hear the hiss in the background. That's good because it means the microphones that I bought are working. But I do have, right next to the camera, crazy hiss going on from the propane heater. And that's because it's like 5 degrees outside. It's cold here, and we are expecting the snowpocalypse tomorrow. So I think just about anybody who's living in the US has heard about this storm that's coming through. I think it's hitting like 35 states, and it's going to be real cold here for the next week or so. So I am stuck with the propane heater and running heat. We've done all our winter prep to make sure that we're ready for this thing, so fingers crossed. But I'm trying to take up my time now by working on these seats. So I'm going to try to take you through step by step with that. The first thing we're going to do is try to take this thing apart. Now, the first thing I should tell you guys is this is not necessarily a how-to. It's really more or less going to be a come along and learn with me, because I have not stripped these particular seats down before. I have replaced upholstery before in other cars, but not this particular one. So I'm going to figure out stuff as we go along. And the first thing we're going to try to do here is to remove this headrest. Yeah, that's pretty easy. There's just these 2 little switches, little levers on either side. Get them pushed in. You can take that off. And we've got a couple of Phillips head screws holding these plates on, so we are preemptively taking those off. I know for sure those aren't going to stay. I'm hoping, and whether this comes in this video or another one, that I'm going to be able to salvage the headrests, because they're fairly expensive to replace. And they're fine. So I'm hoping what I'm going to be able to do is just steam clean the heck out of them and really get them power washed into a better state, and maybe have to spray paint them with the vinyl dye because they are not currently going to match up color wise with what I have. So we'll see what I can do. I'm going to try to get away with it on the cheap, but that doesn't always work. All right. Now these two are really just, this is top plate stuff. So you can see these are just basically chromed plastic pieces. They're a little stained. We're going to see what we can do about cleaning those up, but I don't know. And then underneath those are the business ends. This is the metal components that actually hold the upholstery on, and that those things mount to. One thing I don't know is whether or not these seats were ever replaced. I don't know whether this was originally a bucket seat car or whether it was a bench seat car, so I don't know whether this is original upholstery from this car, whether it was painted, who knows? No idea. So I'm kind of hoping I can discern a little bit of that once we get this dismantled. All right, so on the bottom side of this, as you tilt the seat forward, there's 3 screws. You know what? I'm going to go for the old helmet cam for you guys. Now, hopefully you can see a little bit more with this, but there are a few screws on the bottom of this seat as you tip it forward. This was just the first place I looked. I didn't know these were here, but I assumed that there had to be some fasteners on here. And 1970, they weren't doing a whole lot of hidden plastic fasteners, so it was a good bet. All right, so those 3 screws are off. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and guess that this thing slides up. But I may have to take this off first. Well, that is unfortunate, but if that came apart that easy, that was not going to live. Guess who's got to order a new part? Alright, so that should, in a normal world, that should pop out. In my case, it did not just pop out, it crumbled. And this really, I know you guys are probably going to watch this and say, well, you were a gorilla, Tom, and you just wrenched that out of there. But I barely put any pressure on this with the screwdriver because I was worried that it was brittle or that it was fastened in some other way. It peeled away like butter, so that wasn't going to last. And now I know. Alright, but we do have, it looks like a small Phillips head in here. Nope, maybe there's nothing there. No, we're missing a bolt. I could go to the other room and grab the right tool, but too lazy. There we go. There we go, and that just slides right off. Pretty easy. Set this off to the side right now. Alright, so that is this piece off. Now we've got to get the bottom components off. Now I haven't covered this table in anything protective yet because, well, I'm not terribly worried about protecting anything yet. So if I were to cover this in a piece of cardboard now, that cardboard would get filthy from this filthy seat. And then when I went to start building this back up again with clean components, I'd have a dirty piece of cardboard that I was working on. So rather than waste the cardboard that I'm going to put down on this table for later, I'm just going to work on the bare tabletop first here where everything's dirty. And then once we get this stripped down and we start building her back up, that's when I'll put the cardboard down and start being clean. It's my logic. Makes sense to me. Couple more screws here on the back side. That comes right off. And we'll get the other. Alright, that's those pieces off. Now we're going to see what I can do to separate these two components. Alright, so the logical part of my brain is telling me we've got to remove a couple more things before we can get this upholstery off, and that can only help us get closer to separating these components. So that's going to be these two rubber stoppers. which is part of what helps keep the back from slamming down onto the seat bottom when you throw the seat back. And then this guy. So that we're gonna need a socket for. I gotta go into the cold room. I wish we had some way for you to feel how cold it is. Whew. The thermometer in the garage, which is where I keep all these tools, says it's 36 in there. I think it's being generous. .36-degree metal, not nice. Not pleasant at all. We've got two nuts on the side here. Let's see if I can show you these. Hiding right in there. There's one on either side. There's a different size than what I just went after. Ooh. And they were in there tight. That needed all the muscles. It needed all the ugga-duggas this had. Is there more than one? Might be. So this is pretty important for me to figure out. I will have to figure out how I'm getting this thing back together. You know, taking it apart is always pretty easy when you're going to replace what you're taking apart, because you can be fairly reckless. But I am going to have to put this back together at some point. So I should know how to do that. So we're just going to use these, take these hog rings out. I'm kind of chasing down this seam. Because this bracket seems like my biggest culprit. Or my most likely culprit. For holding this thing together. Aha! And it is. There's my second one. Alright. So that just tells me when we're putting this thing back together, we're going to have some loose fabric seams on the ends here that will be expected to just tie up together. Okay. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. I don't think I can be too flippant and just say, and just like that, but, you know, something like that. So now we have the two of these things separated. Time to strip the rest of these hog rings off. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, the best way for me to strip them off. We can try a couple ways. Screwdriver works pretty well. If you can get the right purchase. All right. Stand by. All right, so I got a pair of these snips. I'm gonna see if I can snip these hog rings easier. Oh yeah, that's way easier. Not like we're reusing them. Make sure all the hog rings are off, and then we can see this upholstery has got this wire running into it that's tied down. That's what gives this that sort of tucked in look. So we got to cut this out. There we go. One half off. Let's get the other half. Well, we got some stuff drying. So there's some paint drying on the frames, which we got all stripped down now, cleaned about as much as I'm going to get them cleaned. I got a coat of rust preventative on those, and then hit them with a can of the Illuma Blast, which you guys know I like. So those are now curing, drying off. Now I figure it's time to hit the plastics. Now, there's nothing wrong with these plastics. And you guys can look at them. These are factory plastics. These are the originals. And based on the tags that I was able to find inside the seats, or inside the seat parts as we were disassembling them, as near as I can tell, these are the original bucket seats that would have come with the car. Now, the car was born, according to its cowl tag, as a Malibu Sport Coupe, which means it would have been eligible to come with the bucket seats, and it looks like it did. So if it really did come with the bucket seats, and these look like they are them. The tags on the inside says that they were supposed to be coming with a car that has the same paint code as mine. So either they were the original ones with the car, or they just happened to come from another car that had the original same green mist paint job. I got a little bit more digging to do on those tags, but as far as I can tell, original seats. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with these plastics except the fact that they are worn out. And you can really see it on these backs. They're just scuffed to high heaven, and really just, they've seen better days. So could I replace these? Yes. There's a bunch of sites that sell them. NPD is one of them, and you guys know I love NPD. And I could go and get replacements there. But the reality is those replacements would cost me, I think it's $200 just for the pair of the backs. And then if I were to get these bottom shells, because it's 2 per, I think those are another $100 a seat. So $300, something like that, to replace the plastics. Seems like a tall order to me. And when I already have them and they're working and they're not broken, doesn't seem like it's logical for me to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to spray them, and I already have that paint. That paint is this stuff. Now this is also stuff that I got from NPD. This is Seymour paint. And if you guys know any of these interior paints at all, Seymour makes really, really good stuff. Can't recommend it enough. This is acrylic lacquer, and this works really great. It's formulated for these hard plastics. I've used it before on the interior on other parts of the Chevelle. It holds up really, really well. It's basically more like a dye than it is a paint. It sets in, chemically bonds with that plastic. It does not scrape off. It doesn't flake off. It sticks. It stays. And it's also got a really, really strong color match. So it's very, very close to what the original was. What the original was. Words are hard sometimes. So I've already given these things a mechanical wash, meaning that I've already scrubbed them down with some Sprayway. Just basically giving them the old window cleaner wash and scrub them up good. And now I'm going to hit them with paint prep. This stuff is, again, also from Seymour. This is their plastic and leather prep. This stuff is basically a plastic safe oil and wax degreaser. So we're going to wipe this stuff down with these. And then from here, we'll go ahead and give it a coat of that paint. Well, unfortunately, and this frustrates me to no end, that's all I can do for you for this video. We've gotten the seats completely unupholstered, deconstructed. We've gotten the metal frames broken down, painted, prepped. They're ready. We've gotten the plastics ready. I've got the foams all ready, but I'm missing stuff. Important stuff. I'm missing hog rings and I'm missing my cotton batting. Both things that I had at one point in time and now can't find. That's my bad. And with the snowstorm that we got dumped on us, it delayed my ability to be able to get anything shipped in here. So stuff that I normally would have been able to get in next day, it's now not coming in until later on in the week. So it will be coming in, but I couldn't rush it. So unfortunately, that's going to have to wait for the next video. So the next video, you'll see me putting the upholstery on those seats. And then once that's on, we'll be getting those seats inside the car, and this job should be getting wrapped up. But so far, so good. It was actually not too bad getting those seats apart, although I will say this, man, this is the first time that I've actually taken apart upholstery like this, older upholstery. The last seats that I took apart were out of my 98 Mustang that I had, and those were much, much simpler to take apart. This was a pain. Lots of hog rings. I lost count Not that I was really trying to count, but it was a lot of hog rings. My hands were sore by the end of it from cutting all those things apart and prying them all apart. And it was a lot to tear off, a lot of grossness and dust, pulling that stuff all apart. And you basically had to do it 4 times for the 2 seat bottoms and the 2 seat backs to pull those all apart. So that was a lot more labor than I expected it to be to pull those all apart and get those things just down to the bare metal that I needed to start with. So a lot more than I anticipated just to get to the place where I could start from scratch. So lesson learned there, guys. If you haven't done that before, get prepped. It's a lot of work just to get to ground zero. But ground zero is where we're at today, maybe a little bit better since the plastic is now drying and painted, and we should be prepped to go very, very soon. So until next time when I see you guys, keep throwing wrenches, and next time you'll see us putting these seats into the car.